Ladies and gents, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your April Fool's weekend. If you went out to get yourself a drink, perhaps, maybe got some gasoline at the gas station, or even tried to heat your home, you were the butt of the joke. Yes, that's right. Everything is a little bit more expensive here in Canada now, thanks to the Liberal government with their new budget they passed on the weekend. They didn't forget to, of course, give themselves a raise in this. But here we have, this is from Dan Fournier's Substack. I recommend you all go and read this article. It's quite a long, extensive article with lots of facts, lots of sources. So definitely read the it in its entirety. But I'm going to go over a few points that are in this. This is from the Wicked Witch of the WEF Budget 2023. She strikes again with a hefty price tag for the climate change and Ukraine agendas in the 2023 budget here. Let's go over some of the fun included in this budget. Trudeau and Freeland set to carbon tax Canadians $140 billion yearly. We haven't made it quite there. I think we're at the $8 billion mark, but the plan is $140 billion yearly. Summary: this post exposes how Chrystia Freeland's Canada Growth Fund is nothing more than a giant climate vacuum cleaner that intends to suck between 125 and 140 billion of taxpayer money each year and every year until 2050. This is not hyperbole. It is fully forced with the official Canadian budget and other documents attesting to these figures. And let's not forget that she tried to get a blank check for $2 billion from the Senate. That was a viral hit only about a month ago. Here, later in the article, we have Prime Minister has spoken on behalf of 38 million plus Canadians at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, UK, in 2021, promising the following. One, we're going to have pollution emissions will be priced. We're going to put a price on emissions. Now, pollution, we would have to, come to the agreement here that nobody wants to call CO2 a pollution. It's not a pollutant. It's a natural occurring thing. It happens everywhere. We're not polluting the environment with CO2, but that's what they want you to believe here. Now, most people who agree, and most people would agree, we want to clean up the environment. Let's do that. Let's not have actual pollution going into the environment. CO2 is being listed as one of these. Canada's oil and gas sector will essentially become extinct by 2050. That's the plan. Net zero, the equivalent of zero CO2 emissions, is an unyielding goal to be met by 2050. It's funny, though, because we're almost there. Like, we really are almost net zero in Canada, and we'll get to that later. New gas-powered cars, diesel-powered trucks will be completely prohibited by 2035. You cannot make this stuff up. But hey, you know what? Let's have a look over here. Here's Stephen Guilbeault, most well known for his arrest here in his association with the eco-terrorist group Greenpeace. And the reason why I say that is because they engage in a practice called tree spiking. Tree spiking involves hammering a metal rod, nail, or other material into a tree trunk, either inserting it at the base of the trunk where the logger may be expected to cut into the tree, or higher up where it would affect the sawmill later in processing the wood. This is used to prevent logging by risking damaging saws in the forest or at the mill if the tree is cut, as well as possible injury or death to the worker. The spike can also lower the commercial value of the wood, causing discoloration, reducing the economic viability of logging in the long term without threatening the life of the tree, because they care more about the tree than they do about human life. It is illegal in the United States, also in Canada, and it has been described as a form of eco-terrorism. Well, Mr. Guilbeault, after his fun with Greenpeace, found himself in the position of, you guessed it, a Liberal MP, and now he's in charge of the environment here in Canada. And well, he wanted to talk about a little bit about the the climate stuff and why we're all paying extra money to change the weather, and got a few questions, a little bit of pushback, unbelievably, from the news, the mainstream media news here.
Minister, respectfully, I'm looking at the PBO's report right now, and he goes through each quintile of the income brackets. In Alberta, each and every quintile will see a net loss. In Saskatchewan, all but the very lowest income, and the same in Manitoba. So I take your point that it is progressive, but in those instances, in those provinces, it's only those at the lowest part of the income scale that will see any net benefit. Everybody else, and certainly those in the second income bracket, are not exactly, the richest of Canadians. And once again, when your government said what this program was intended to accomplish, it made a promise to Canadians that they wouldn't be out of pocket for it. If a majority of Canadians are, and I'm not saying that the merits of the program, I'm not debating the merits of carbon pricing in this. I'm just trying to ask you if you understand why there are Canadians right now who are facing such tough financial times, who are saying, can you put a pause on this? Can you help us out? Because it isn't like the rebates are covering it all.
Well, we're doing a number of other things, Vashi, to help Canadians and to support Canadians through the transition to a lower carbon future, like a program to help people to get off home heating oil, which is much more expensive, much more polluting than using heat pumps, for example. So we're working with a number of jurisdictions across the country to do that. And as you said in the introduction about the parliamentary budget officer, I mean, he acknowledges that he doesn't take into account the cost of the impacts of climate change. And let me give you just one example. Summer of 2021 in British Columbia, the overall economic impact of natural catastrophes that year alone, in British Columbia alone, $17 billion. This is a bill that all Canadians are paying. And that's 1 year, one jurisdiction in Canada.
I get all that, and I'm not negating it, but that isn't what you told Canadians carbon pricing would be. You didn't say it's going to cost you, but we'll do all this other stuff to help you. You said our rebates will cover you.
We have said that the rebates would help the people most in need in Canada, and that's exactly what the system is doing.
Helping the people most in need. So if you're absolutely dirt poor, they'll give you a rebate that's more than what you are paying in carbon taxes. But excuse me, it is not actually what you're not getting it back, because where the hidden costs are obviously in food and other products that are shipped by trucks and boats and all of these things. And well, we have a YouTuber by the name of McDick, and he's a farmer in the prairies, and he lays it out so beautifully in his video. I'm going to show you a clip from the video, but I'll leave a link in the description. Go check it out in its entirety, because he really breaks it down fantastically.
But by the end of 2023, $8 billion will have been collected from small business in Canada from the carbon tax, and only $35 million will be returned back through programs to said businesses. Do you know who gets to pay for the difference of that? You and me as customers, but nobody talks about this when we factor in the little quote saying you get back more than you put in. So we're punished unmercifully as Canadians for driving, heating our homes, and eating, all while being responsible for this much of global greenhouse gas emissions on a faulty national inventory report. Then we're told to, oh, hey, Blue Ball. Then we're told to switch over to unreliable energy sources like these or these, whose components are mostly controlled by these guys, who are also responsible for this much of global greenhouse gas emissions. And not only that, but they're busy with their fingers in our elections here in Canada. Meanwhile,
unreal. Anyway, I'll leave a link in the description. You can check this video out in its entirety. But this is really where we are here in Canada. We can't fight homelessness, hunger, or poverty, but we're gonna fight the climate change. Let that sink in for a minute. And it's unbelievable. Even that 1.6 number, when if you factor in all of the agriculture and the CO2 soak that we have, the vast forests that we have in Canada that soak up CO2 from the atmosphere, we're actually probably net negative at this point. And yeah, of course, China, who has 30% of global emissions, is largely left untouched. There is no pressure. You don't see any little girls with braids going over there to pressure them. No. No, not at all. And the hypocrisy doesn't end there. I mean, here we are, where we have the former BC Premier John Horgan did everything he could to prevent liquid natural gas facilities from being built in British Columbia, but he's fine on working. he's fine being on a coal company's board. Yes, that's right, a coal company's board. He has joined. Aren't socialist hypocrites the best? Former BC Premier John Horgan joins the board of coal businesses. Yeah, that's right. And hey, well, here in the article here, former British Columbia Premier John Horgan is taking a job in the coal industry and says he's not worried about the criticism the move may draw. Well, why? You go down in the article. He conceded that there may be a knee-jerk reaction to his move to coal, but he noted there's a difference between coal used to make electricity and coal used for metallurgy. While there are better ways to generate electricity, he said, there are not better ways to make steel. And that is absolutely true. Hey, guess what? There's nuance to this stuff. Wait, there's nuance? Well, when he was a politician, there was no nuance when it came to liquid natural gas. And, well, hey, look at here. Maybe we've stopped using coal for thermal power, for energy, but yeah, that's right. Canada's weaning itself off thermal coal, but keeps shipping it elsewhere. So if you've seen one of these pass by your town recently, well, that's because it's going off to China to add to that 30% that we, us as Canadians only contributing 1.6% to global emissions. We indirectly are funding it. We're making it possible by shipping coal to them instead of shipping liquid natural gas, which would have been so much better. It all sounds so skeevy. It sounds so slimy, so greasy, because it is. It largely is. A lot of this has a lot to do with politics. It has to do with companies and where they want to position themselves and what politicians they can pull the strings of and line themselves up so they can line their own pockets. Ladies and gents, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. Tell me I'm wrong. And that it's all on the up and up. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.